Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning. Do you have a good weekend?
What's everyone thinking about Boris's announcements?
Oh, I know. There seems, there's so much confusion, isn't there? I see LinkedIn and all of my social feeds have been going crazy this morning with everyone going, what does that mean? Okay, brilliant.
I feel like it doesn't really mean anything that different for a lot of us, does it?
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think, let me, for those of us that have joined, good morning. I'm Michelle de Klerk, founder of the Women's Chapter, and we've got Donna O'Toole with us this morning, who is the founder of August and an awards specialist. And we're very, very fortunate to have her as a member of the Women's Chapter. She's one of our business members. We will be starting in a couple of minutes, but for those of you that have been on our webinars before, we are recording this, so if there's anything that you miss, you'll be able to go back and listen to it, especially for those that might have to leave early for whatever reason. We will be hearing from Donna first. Donna's going to give us some insights into her business journey and how she got to where she is now, as well as then obviously the key takeaways around how you can build your own awards strategy and start doing that this year, which I think is really exciting, because I think a lot of us had kind of written off 2020. So it's exciting to know that there's a lot that we can be doing now to build our award strategy going forward. And okay, let's just see how many people we've got in. And we've got 1 minute to go, so I'll do another little introduction for those that have just joined us again, and a welcome to Donna as we hit 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Right, I think we're just on 11, so another warm welcome to those of you that have just joined us. I have disabled the waiting room, so everyone should be able to join us, but I'll keep an eye on that. A very warm welcome to Donna O'Toole, who is the founder of August. She's an awards specialist, and she's going to be talking to us today about how to use awards to strengthen your brand, how to build your awards strategy for 2020, so things you can actually be doing now and beyond, and the importance of this for positioning your brand and your profile. So I think it's really exciting, as I mentioned earlier, that there are actually things that we can be doing now to be developing these strategies and looking at how we can start building accreditations for our business and positioning ourselves for winning more business, more clients, more profiling in the future. So Donna, it's a massive honor to have you here with us. We're delighted to have you as one of our women-led collective business members for the Women's Chapter, and for you to be sharing your insights with us today. And without further ado, I'm going to hand over to you. As I said earlier, we are recording the session. We'll be hearing from Donna for about 25-30 minutes, and then we'll open up to questions. So really, we do encourage you after that to be as interactive as possible. Fire away in terms of questions. I'll be keeping an eye on the chat, but equally, when we do open up for Q&A, if you'd like to unmute yourself and ask a question yourself, you'd be most welcome. So without further ado, I'm going to stop sharing the slide and switch over to Donna so we can see her. Donna, would you like to start with just giving us some some insights into your business journey and how you got to be doing the work that you do with clients in the award space?
Absolutely, will do. Thank you, Michelle. Hi everyone, thank you very much for joining us this morning and for taking the time out of your day to come and learn a little bit about awards. So just a bit of a headline about me. So I started my agency about 5 years ago. I was already in the awards industry, and my background is actually in linguistics. So I had an English language degree, which I'd done much later in life, and then I got into business writing and awards writing. From doing that, I actually developed some really key methodologies that and gained an understanding of what was happening with award entries and what was happening in the award industry in a way that would make a real difference to people's award entries. I since then went on to work with huge global companies, helping them to become the top of their industry by winning awards, and individuals as well. So we work with people across all different types of awards, whether that's from industry awards that you would know, in your specific industry, through to cross-sector, national and international awards, through to very personal individual leadership awards, and awards for big high-profile awards like the Queen's Award for Enterprise, and also like the Queen's Honours. So we have a great deal of success, and it's a lovely, lovely business to work in, because of course we're celebrating people's successes all the time. And something that's really important to me is recognition, and that's because I know that as a child and growing up, I'm aware that recognition is something that helps to drive you on. It helps to motivate you, it helps to inspire you, and it enables and empowers you to achieve more. So what I want to achieve through my agency is to help others to make an impact, and to help us to all support each other to celebrate that impact, and then help others to do more. And that's essentially what we've learned from helping so many people to win awards, and so many businesses and brands over the years, is we've learned that helps them to do more and go and put more good back into the world. So you're in a great place if you want to start doing this now, and to support each other to do that. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you through some of my ideas, techniques, methods, stories, try and inspire you with what we've done with some other companies. The vast majority of the brands and the individuals that we work with are confidential, but we do have some that we're able to share some stories from, which is really nice for us. So I'm going to share my screen, if that's okay. Is the view, just wanting to check everything, is the view working okay for everyone? Yeah, okay, great. So what would be really nice, I'm going to share my screen, but what would be really nice for me is also to know a little bit more about who's on the call today, in that where we're at with awards, because it would help me to tailor a little bit of what I'm telling you to where your awards journey is. So what would be really nice is, there's a chat box, I'm sure you've all used Zoom, but if you haven't, there's a chat box you can click on at the bottom, and maybe you could just pop in here, yes or no, if you've ever won an award. So it'd be really good to know, have we got any award winners with us today? And what the kind of proportion and the percentage is looking like on that side of things. Oh, lots of yeses. Okay, we've got lots of yeses and a few no's. Okay, brilliant. That's really good. So we've already got some success. So already you know, okay, the boost that's going to give your brand profile, give your personal brand, and also your company brand, hopefully, as well. So some really fantastic awards in here as well, and someone's shortlisted for another. Brilliant. Okay, and has anyone, I've just seen, so Anne's written here, been a finalist 3 times but never won. This is something that I hear a lot. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. So have we got anyone else who feels like that, who, I'm always entering awards but I never quite win, or I get to the shortlist and I just don't know why we don't win, and we just don't know how to get that much further? So if anyone feels like that, then give me a shout too. So hopefully we can help you with that. Okay, let me just share my screen so we can go through. There we go. Okay, brilliant. So hopefully everyone can see that. So we're going to, is it going to let me operate 2 things at once? Okay, there's just a little bit about me. I've already told you about me. So my motto here is that I want to help people to achieve their personal and professional dreams by winning the best awards in the world. And that means to aim high and know what you're going to need to do to get there. It might be that you're not ready to get there yet, but it might be that you are, and you just haven't identified that, or it might be that you need to know what to do to get you there in the first place. Okay, so I'm going to start with which awards will give your profile the biggest boost now. Now, I've spoken to a number of, a lot of people over the last few weeks and last months, who've obviously been hit by the COVID-19 situation and feel absolutely devastated and have said to me, my business was doing brilliantly until this happened. We were doing so well, we could have won so many awards, we were going to enter this award, we were going to enter that award, but we just can't do that now because our finances have been hit, and you know, our year end is in a couple of months' time, and so it's obviously going to show in our finances. Okay, that is obviously hugely stressful, and everybody, so many people are going through that right now. But let me just say that that should not stop you from winning awards, and it should not stop you right now from applying for the awards that you want to. Okay, what you may need to do is be more strategic about the awards that you're going to enter at the moment. So I'm going to give you some ideas of some different awards. Obviously, you're all in completely different industries. Your businesses will all be at different stages. You will all have a completely different level of eligibility for different awards. But what's really important to understand is that you need to get yourself in the right race in the first place, okay? So if you're not in the right race, you're never going to have a chance of winning. So if you look at someone like Mo Farah, he knows what he's brilliant at and he sticks to it. You don't find him in the sprints, you find him in the marathons because he knows that's where his strengths are. So it's about understanding where your strengths are and then positioning yourself in the right awards program and the right category that will help you to demonstrate your strengths to the best that you possibly can. Plus, will have a fit with your business goals, because every award that you enter should be for a reason. It's not just because your friend won it, or because it happened to pop into your email box, or because it's the only one you've heard of in your area. Every single award should be part of your strategy, and it should be part of your business goals. So you're going to choose to enter this particular award because it's going to help you to achieve this particular purpose. And this is all comes back to building your award strategy. Well, obviously at this point with COVID-19 situation, maybe your business has gone on the rails a little bit, okay? But the thing to know about awards is they recognize what you've previously achieved, not what you're doing right now and not what you're going to do in the future. Because the only thing that can be proven when you're applying for an award or being nominated for an award is what's already happened. You can't prove projections, you can't prove forecasts. So when we're judging, and I judge international awards the world over, we're the agency partner for the National Business Awards. We judge the biggest awards in the world. I'm part of the judging process for. And I can tell you now that if someone may give us an award entry that tells us all the brilliant things that they're going to achieve, it won't score any points. We're only going to score you points on what you've already achieved. So if up until COVID-19, your business had been achieving well, you can still win awards for that. And actually the awards industry are actively encouraging people to send in their entries for what they've achieved to date, because they don't want that to put people off. And I'll tell you a bit more about that later and about what's happening in the industry right now. So what I will say is two things. Have a little bit of a self-assessment with your business. So if you've been hit financially, then deal with that upfront, and you still want to enter an award, deal with that upfront. Say that, okay? But say perhaps what you're going to do to overcome it. But focus the entire, after your 2 lines of saying that, focus the entire entry on what you've already achieved, because that's what you're going to be judged on. Most awards will look back at a minimum of 1 year. The National Business Awards here on the screen, they look back at 3 years achievements. The Queen's Awards for Enterprise, which is a much bigger award, and I'll talk to you about that later, but they look back at anything between 2 to 6 years achievements, depending on which category you enter. So it's all about what's happened. And one of the biggest indicators for award success is growth. So if you know that you have grown over the last year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, however long that is, then you are still in a good position, even though you may have been hit right now. Okay, so please don't let it put you off. Now, if you've been hit financially and you feel that someone said to me, actually, this is quite interesting. Someone said to me, but because I've been hit financially, I don't feel confident to talk about my business now. And it's been a bit undermining of that actual confidence. And I said, you know what, that's absolutely fine, because how about we look at awards instead that aren't going to look at your business growth achievements, because you're not feeling confident about that and it's giving you a bit of a shake. And instead we look at awards that are going to be more interested in your story, or more interested in the personal impact that you've had, more interested in the impact you've had on your clients, and you can talk about their success, and you can actually leverage your client's success as you being part of that and you helping them to achieve it. So there are different ways around depending on how you are feeling. So let's say, for example, just to give you an example, you're feeling like you don't want to enter right now with all your finances included because you're feeling a little bit wobbly about what's happened. But actually, you know that one of your clients that you had last year, you had a massive impact on, and you know that they've gone on to be much more robust now. And actually, the support that you gave them has enabled them to power through at the moment. It's enabled them to keep growing. Excuse me. Then you can utilize that, and you can even enter awards in partnership with those clients of yours to leverage both of your successes. Okay, so it's about being strategic about which awards you're entering right now. So a couple of awards, if you are in a good position to enter, because of course everyone's in a different position, and some businesses are really thriving right now. Some businesses are really needed, and you know they're finding it's their biggest growth period. So you know we've got to think about those as well. So there are particular awards that are open right now that are really hugely going to boost your profile, and I've put a couple of them on the screen here. So we've got the Lloyds Bank National Business Awards. Now, these awards have categories in all sorts of different areas, and they do attract large brands, but they do also have categories for small businesses, and they have categories for new entrepreneurs and businesses under 2 years old. They have categories for innovation, so if you're doing something different. So don't look at these bigger awards and think, oh, they're not for me, they're just for the big brands. They're not. If you look deeper and you delve into the criteria of the categories, you'll find that there's categories in there that are suited for everyone. So do go and have a look. Another great thing, and this is reflecting on boosting your profile, is when you're looking at awards and making a decision on whether to enter, look at what other value that award offers you. So the value in awards is generally around winning the award. Of course it is, because then you get to put it on your emails, on your marketing, on everything, and promote that, and that will attract customers and help you retain employees and do lots of great things for your brand. But many awards give you more than that. So, for example, just giving you an example of the National Business Awards, I know that these awards are hugely beneficial as a profile boost, even if you get to the final, because for finalists, what they do is they will include your business in a supplement with a media partner, just because you've become a finalist. So even if you get no further than that, you've already got a great piece of media coverage that you wouldn't have had otherwise, okay? So even just getting to the final can boost your profile. They will also do events. Obviously this year's slightly different. So in past years, it's usually drinks at the House of Lords, really good networking events. That will again get you networking with the right kind of people and help you to boost your profile that way. They do lots of great things, and I'm sure they'll be moving those online this year. So that's a really great way to boost your profile through an award, is to look at what other value can this award give me? What value can I get even if I just get to the final? If you look at the huge award like the Queen's Award for Enterprise, so many people think, oh, I can't possibly enter that. You know, my business is not big enough and we're not achieving enough. And that's just not the case. You only need to have a minimum of 2 employees and be based in the UK to enter the Queen's Award for Enterprise. It's very, very welcoming of small, innovative companies if you've got the commercial success to prove what you're doing is working. So typically, an award like this will look for 20 to 30% growth year on year as an indicator of your commercial success. So if you're thinking, oh, hang on a minute, I've grown that much and I'm doing something different, then you could potentially put yourself out there for this. I've helped lots of small businesses to win this huge award. So I'll give you a little story here actually. On the screen there's a photograph here of the chap here is called Simon. He runs a company called Swim Trek. Now Simon, so think about this when I'll tell you his story, and think about this when you think about your own story. So Simon, this must be about 12 years ago now, had a real passion for swimming, and he decided that he wanted to go on a holiday and do some open water swimming. When he came to look for a holiday package that he could do, he couldn't find one, not one that he felt was good enough, that was safe, that included the equipment. He included everything that he needed. So he decided to build one himself. From that, he ended up launching his company, SwimTrek, which is a travel company specifically designed for travelers who want to go and do open water swimming. So it's very different, very innovative, but a very tiny little company based in Brighton. And he launched his business and it did really well. And every year it grew and grew. And at about a 10-year mark, I happened to be at a conference. And I got picked out to stand up and pitch to the room, which is like everyone's worst nightmare. And so I did, and stood up and said who I was and what I did, and that I help businesses to win awards, and that the Queen's Award for Enterprise was now open, and if anyone was interested, give me a ring, kind of thing. A couple of weeks later, I get a call from Simon who says, I've never won awards, Donna. I don't think we could probably win any awards. We've only got a tiny little company in Brighton. But I just thought it was quite interesting, so I thought I'd give you a call. So we had a little chat about it. And I said, you know what? That is a really, really interesting company. Let's look at it further. So we dug deep. We looked at the finances. We looked at all their facilities. We looked at what they were doing and how they were doing it and who they were partnering with and everything. And the long and the short of it is we entered them into the Queen's Award for Enterprise. He'd never won an award before. This is the biggest award in the world. But I felt that he was the first person to have launched this kind of company. Now, since then, there's been lots of copycats. So there's other companies doing the same thing. But he was the first, and therefore he is the most innovative. And that's the same for any of your companies. If you know you started a company and you're the only one doing this, but actually you've got copycats now and actually more people are doing it, fine. You still started it. You're still the innovative one. And you can still prove that innovation. So Simon went on to win the Queen's Award for Enterprise, and I cannot tell you the boost that gave to their business. Now, one thing I should say actually that's really important, and this is something to always remember with awards, is when you've reached a point that you have grown and you are doing well, that is the time to enter awards, because you never know what's around the corner and you never know what's going to happen. And if COVID-19 has taught us anything, it has taught us that. So embrace what you've got now. So even if you're looking back for a year, embrace what you've got and what you can already use to win awards. Don't try and wait until all your ducks are in a row and then think, oh, okay, well, if we can just do this, then we'll enter awards. If we can just do that, then we'll enter awards. Because the chances are something will happen in the meantime. And actually, your business might have a blip and all of a sudden you've gone downhill, and then you've got to prove that you've got to grow again. So when you've already got the proof and you can go back a year or you can go back a couple of years and you can say, but we've already grown, even now, you can start using that for awards. And like Simon, I'm not saying everyone's going to win the Queen's Award for Enterprise, of course they're not. But don't underestimate what you could potentially be able to win, because it's probably a lot more than you think. And my experience is that I talk to businesses and to individuals all the time who only enter awards basically in their region because they don't feel that they have the confidence to pitch up and to aim high and to enter these bigger awards, when actually what you would find is that the bigger awards would find you really interesting and really unique. Okay, so I hope that made sense. And obviously, if anyone's got any questions, and I appreciate I'm talking quite fast because I've got lots to pack in, but if anyone's got any questions, please do pop them in the chat box, because what I'm going to do is come to those at the end. So if you've got any questions about your business or how this could affect you, or a particular award you're thinking about, or if you've done an entry or you want to do an entry, anything like that, pop it in the chat box and we'll definitely come to these at the end, okay? So the next key ingredient of winning awards is how to create your award-winning unique selling point, okay? Now, just to give you, I'm going to tell you a story about another client here, but to give you an idea of your unique selling point, I'm sure in business, we've all had to find this anyway. We all have to find our unique selling point to put that across in our marketing, on our LinkedIn profiles, on everything that we're doing. But it absolutely stuns me constantly when I'm judging awards, particularly if they're an industry award. So for example, I was judging a financial award recently, and the category that I was judging, the entries that came through into that category were identical. Every company in that category was doing exactly the same thing, and not one of those companies had been able to find and put forward to us as judges what was different about them. They all said pretty much the same thing. And yes, as some of our businesses, we know that there's lots of us around doing the same thing, but we've got different core values. We've got different different clients, we've got different ways and approaches and processes. We should never come across as identical to another company. And one of the key indicators of winning awards will be the uniqueness of how you do things, and how you can find that unique selling point and put it across. Now, and this comes back to being in the right race as well, because if you know your unique selling point and you know what you're going to stand out for, you can make sure you're in a category and in an award that's going to really embrace that and allow you to stand out. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example now by telling you a story about this company, because it will show you how perhaps what you think your unique selling point isn't actually your unique selling point. So this is a company called Close Brothers Retail Finance. I worked with them a few years ago. I worked with the Close Brothers group, and I worked with, this was a startup company within the group. And what they do is they sell retail finance to retailers. So essentially, to explain what that is, if you go into DFS and you get 0% credit on a sofa, for example, then there's essentially a financer behind that shop, transferring them the money so that they can give us the credit. So that's essentially what they do. So they give 0% credit to retailers so that we, the customer, can then benefit from that and have things on a sort of 0% deal or pay monthly or whatever. So when I first met them, they said, we really need to raise our profile. We're new in the industry. We're new in this part of the industry, and there's some big players we're up against. And what we've been doing is we're entering awards, and we know that our unique, the thing that's unique about us is that we can deliver finance to retailers within 4 seconds of them pressing the button on wanting it. So I said, right, okay, how do you do that? And they said, well, we've got this great technology and we give everyone iPads in the shops, and it's great. We can turn this finance around within 4 seconds. So I said, right, that's not very exciting. To me, as a judge, that's just technology. That doesn't hit me here anywhere at all. It, as a customer, doesn't actually make much difference to me if you're delivering it in 4 seconds or 4 minutes. As long as I've got it by the time I leave the shop, then I'm happy. But to me, that's not your unique selling point. So if you're pitching yourself based on that, in your marketing and in your award entries, you're not going to win, because no one's engaging with that. No one can connect with that. No one can go, wow, that's so amazing. Something can be delivered in 4 minutes. 4 seconds, we must give them all the awards. You need to have a human story and a human element, and something that's going to connect and engage with the judges if you're going to have any chance of winning. So there's a real balance in award entries between the nuts and the bolts, the commercial success, the growth, the finance, the technology, how you're doing what you're doing, the processes. That's all the kind of the dry stuff. And there is absolutely a place for all of that. And you need that to substantiate your story. But there's a huge place as well for being engaging. And there's a huge place for demonstrating the absolute real impact that you're having on your customers or on your colleagues or your employees or whoever it is you're entering an award about. So I said to these guys, right, just forget what you think is great about your business. Tell me about your business. Tell me how it works. Who are your customers? So they said, right, okay, well, our customers are mostly small businesses. So I said, right, just to pick a customer and tell me about that one customer. So this is a little bit like customer personas, if you've ever done this for your website. Okay, think of it this way. Pick one of your customers and just talk to me about them. So they said, okay, we've got this customer and he's called Nigel. And he has a shop that sells white goods. So he sells fridges and freezers and washing machines and things. And the thing is that before retail finance came along, if someone wanted to buy a washing machine or a fridge or freezer, they would have to go into his shop, have a look at the goods, and then if they wanted to take it home, then they have to, find 300 quid or 500 quid or whatever it is and pay him there, and then they can go. But nowadays, that's not what people want. So what people do is they go into Nigel's shop, they look at his washing machines and his fridges and his freezers, and then they get on their phone and they Google the same model because they like it, because they've seen it and they've been able to try it out. And they see it at Curry's or John Lewis or somewhere else. And they see they don't even have to pay right now to get that. They can have that delivered to their home within 24 hours without paying a penny out of their bank. So they order it in his shop on their phone and then they leave. So he is basically providing a showroom, if you like, for other stores, because that is culturally the way that we as customers now operate. And we've all done it. We all know that we've been into a shop and we've looked up the price somewhere else. So what Nigel really needed to do was to be able to match what was being given by these great big brands. But he's just like a guy in Essex in a little shop on the high street. How can he do that? The only way he could do that is for a company like Retail Finance, Close Brothers Retail Finance, to come in and say, well, we'll supply you with the finance so that you can supply your customers with 0% credit, so that they don't leave your shop without purchasing something, they buy it from you, okay? And what we'll also do, by the way, is we'll help you to understand SEO so that you can then write about that on your website, and that Google will pick that up. So when people are Googling, I'm in Essex, I want to buy a washing machine with 0% interest-free credit, you're going to come up on it. So what they did is they provided Nigel with the finance, and lo and behold, that's what happened. Customers, instead of walking away, started buying from him. And as that went on, and if you think about it over a year or so, as that went on, his business grew. And it grew so much, he was able to open a second shop. He then also opened an online shop. So that was one business in the whole country they were working with who'd managed to grow and increase their turnover, increase their profit, and grow their business. Now, this company, they're working with like 300 of these small businesses. So if you multiply what they're doing for one small business by 300, suddenly you've got a huge economic impact, okay? Suddenly you've got them helping to put back into the economy. You've got them helping to save the high street. You've got them helping to help entrepreneurs achieve their real dreams, to not be working until they're 85, and to actually be able to do what they want in life. And so, yes, they work with big companies as well, and there was a different story to tell with the big companies and the impact it was having on them. But can you see how the engagement, if you're judging that award, the engagement of hearing about a story of a retail finance provider who is literally saving small businesses from going out of businesses and putting great big amounts back into the economy on a multiplied scale, is going to be hugely more engaging and rewarding than a story about technology that delivers in 4 seconds. Okay, so that's the difference, and that's the difference in understanding your unique selling point. It's thinking about what you're truly achieving for your customers, or for your employees, or for your colleagues, or for the community in some way, whoever it is that you're having an impact on. It's about taking that impact and pulling out from that the human impact and multiplying it. So if you've got lots of companies, then multiply it by however many companies you've got. Get the feedback from all those companies. Ask what the difference is to them now. What difference have we made to your life? What can you do now that you couldn't do before? Okay, and when you find all that real impact and you get all those true stories, you suddenly see the difference, okay? And when we, as a judge, are judging award entries like that, it's a different story. You know immediately that you want them to win. You personally get behind them as a judge. You want that company to win because you know that the impact they're having. And the importance is obviously they've got to back that up with all the substantiated evidence, all the nuts and bolts of it, but they've got a story that we can connect with. And if you're not giving a story that you can connect with, if you're just giving me dry information about you growing and your processes, you're really not going to win. This company, just to sort of round up this story, and this can be you. They started from being a very, very small company, just a few of them in the business. Through the awards that they won, we took them on a journey over a couple of years, and they won every single award we put them in for with this story. And we actually, for the awards where you go and do a face-to-face presentation to the judges as well, because often with awards there's a 2-stage process, we took their customer, we took Nigel along, and we got him to stand up and talk with them. They pitched their award story, and then he was there to testify with them. And my goodness, people were in tears. It was brilliant. Now, not everyone's going to be able to take customer, not everyone's going to have that kind of story, but I bet if you dig deep and if you truly connect with your customers or your employees, you could find some real good human impact stories within your business and within what you're doing for other people. And that's where the magic is with awards, okay? And it's having the balance, and it's putting all of those things together. By raising their profile with awards over a 2-year period, this company attracted a lot of attention. And because of the attention that they attracted, they've now completed a multi-million-pound sellout to Klarna. who you may have heard of, Klarna's on lots of different websites. So it's a really good story of demonstrating how you can go from being a really small company to really understanding the unique impact that you're having, to putting that out there in the world and raising your profile and getting your brand profile recognized, getting attention in the right places, getting yourself profiled in the newspaper, you know, all sorts of things like that. And then attracting the attention of investors, of buyers, of suppliers that you want to work with, of mentors, all sorts. I've got lots of different stories I could tell you, but I really love this one. And they're lovely, and they've been very kind to let us be able to share this story with everybody as well, because their feedback to me was that it completely changed the way they marketed themselves. So they stopped marketing themselves based on their technology, and they marketed themselves as, we could actually change your life. And they did. So, you know, if you're going to start saying you can change people's lives, then you need to make sure you can do that. But, you know, it changed their marketing messages. It changed everything that they did. And it grew them to the point that they completed an amazing buyout. And now they're part of a huge company. So very, very successful. So I want you to just think about how you can think about yourself and your business and what you're doing to impact others, and truly where you can find this really engaging, heartfelt USP that is unique to you. Okay. And that will get you on the road to winning. So what's happening in the awards industry now and how it affects you? So COVID-19 has had a big impact, obviously, on every industry around the world in one way or another. For the awards industry, the biggest impact, I suppose, is on the events side of it. So obviously we're part of the events industry. So for lots of awards, what they're doing is they may be rescheduling their actual ceremony, or they may just be putting it online, but they're not stopping. Awards are well and truly up and running, and they are encouraging your entries. And it's difficult to know whether people are saying to me, oh, have I got more chance of winning now because, you know, less people are going to be entering? Honestly, we're not going to know until we've been through this and come out the other side. But yeah, I do think that there are some companies who are now put off from entering or distracted because they've got other things to deal with, right? So if you're not, and you can engage with this and you can focus, do it, because you could be in a better position than any other year. Plus, if your results were good up till now, as I was saying earlier, there is no reason for you not to be doing it. One award I wanted to highlight, because it indicates the impact that this is having on the industry and how we're, as judges and putting together criteria, how we're thinking about doing the best for the entrants as well, is the Queen's Award for Enterprise. They just opened on the 1st of May. And for the first time ever, they are now allowing entries, people to use the finances for the entries from the end of their last financial year last year instead of this year. So normally you'd have to submit all your financial information up to the end of your financial year in this year, so long as it falls before their deadline, which is the 9th of September. But they're going to allow you to go back a year if you need to, if you've been impacted this year. So that's a huge thing, and it will make the difference between winning and not winning for lots of companies. So that's something to think about if you have been growing really well. So if you've been growing well up till now, if you've got some great stories to tell, and you think, oh, actually there is an award I'd really like to enter, go and investigate it. Even give them a call. Even call them up and say, look, I was thinking of entering, but I'm not sure. What's your take on this? How are you going to be judging it? You know, what are you looking at? And you probably will find it's going to be more favourable than ever before. So this could be the year to really embrace it. Plus, the other thing the awards industry are doing tend to be extending their entry period. So just to give people a little bit longer to enter right now, because obviously, you know, people are trying to manage and juggle all sorts of things. So just giving you a bit longer to enter, but they're by no means closed. I don't know, the only award I know that isn't going to run this year, and I've spoken to them about it, is the Cannes Festival, and that's the Cannes Lions Awards, which typically you'd enter if is like the Oscars of the advertising industry, and that's because it's an international award, and it would take a hell of a lot of international coordination and travel. So obviously that's very travel connected. But for other awards that would be, whether they're in your country or not, you can still enter them, and a lot of them will either just either continue to run their ceremony depending on, you know, what Boris or whoever allows us to do, or they will move the ceremony slightly, or they will just put the ceremony online. So you still have the value of winning the award. So it's absolutely business as usual as far as the awards industry is concerned. So, but could be giving you an extra chance this year. So I would encourage you to get involved if you can. So this is just another client I wanted to talk to you about, because it's another, you know, another great story. So how to use awards to motivate your customers and colleagues and keep driving your business forward. As I said in the beginning, you know, recognition is something that is hugely important. And when, you know, us Brits are very humble about getting recognition, and we don't like to shout about ourselves, and we all feel very uncomfortable about it. But the reality is we're in a global marketplace and the competition is fierce. And who would you rather buy from at the end of the day? When you're spending your money, whether it's business money or your personal money as a consumer or as a business, would you rather spend your money with a business that's won awards or a business that hasn't? Okay, so think about it that way and think, well, how can I win awards and then use these awards to motivate everyone around me to do what I want them to do, essentially. If you've got a team at the moment, then using awards to recognise and reward what they've achieved over the last year is going to be hugely beneficial to give them such a boost and help them keep going forward, okay, and help them keep driving forward. If you want to attract employees, then awards are hugely beneficial for attracting and retaining the best talent in your industry. I know that specifically in lots of industries and companies that we work with, businesses will be specifically winning awards in order to attract particular types of employees or to do a recruitment drive. I think one of the companies I work with said they had something like 30% more applicants just from winning awards. Savvy applicants for companies will also look at who's won awards before they start applying. So great from a recruitment point of view. When it comes to customers, so this is another one of our clients, Andrew and his wife. So in the bottom corner you'll see, lovely, lovely couple. Company run out of a kitchen, you know, started on a kitchen worktop like most of us, and was just two of them. And they actually are very, very niche as well, which I think sometimes people are afraid of in awards, because they say, and actually this was a challenge that Andrew had when we worked together, was, oh, but no one will really understand what we do. Well, then it's our duty and responsibility to make sure that they can understand. And not only can they understand, but actually, like I said before, they can engage with it and connect with it. So Andrew's company is called SideChart. They make chart and graph software. It doesn't sound very exciting, does it? But the technology behind it was completely innovative, and it hadn't been done before. And the methods and techniques that Andrew had used to create that was completely innovative. Andrew had never won any awards before we worked together with him. And I'm trying to think how we were introduced now. I can't remember, but we were. And he'd had a really tough time in his personal life. His wife had been very poorly and really didn't feel like entering awards right now anyway, but for some reason trusted me to help them on their way. And what I learned about Andrew's charts and graphs were actually the applications that they were being used in were things like ECG machines, which are measuring people's heart rates, which obviously if you're going to speed up the process of doing that, then you could save lives. They were being used in exciting things like McLaren cars for testing engineering tests to improve the performance of cars. They're being used by universities who are doing research into various different impacts of marine biology and things like that. So the actual software, the actual charts and graphs themselves, yes, that's not very exciting, but the way they were being used and the impact they were having in the world was interesting. So again, we worked with them. We helped them to enter the Queen's Award for Enterprise, and they won. And my goodness, Andrew has fed back to me that within 3 weeks of putting his the Queen's Award for Enterprise logo on his website, his turnover had almost doubled. That's the impact that a great award can have on your business. So then we entered the National Business Awards as well. And from that, the benefits that he got from that, he didn't win. He was actually picked to the post and he came second and was called out as one to watch or something they call it. because the one who did win had a much bigger turnover. That's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. However, from that, one of the judges became a business mentor for him. He was profiled in the was it the Times or the Eye, one of those, and from that he had another huge impact. So the impacts, what I'm trying to show you is small businesses here that have had a big impact with big awards because they're aiming high, because we're helping them, and this is what I want to do for you today, is helping you to engage and connect with what you're actually doing in the world, what the impact is that you're having, so that then you can put that out there into awards and you can really make your unique selling point shine. And that will motivate, it will help you to keep loyal customers, it will help to motivate your colleagues, it will give you the impact that you need to grow your business, which will help you to do more as well. And the same can be said, I've pulled out just some real commercial businesses here, but the same can be done for charities, the same can be done for community businesses. Whatever it is that you're doing, it's about creating the engagement and the story around it, and also substantiating that with all the evidence of success. Okay, well, that brings me to the end. I feel like I talked and talked and talked. So it would be really nice to, that's just my contact details. Let's stop my screen share here. So it'd be really nice, Michelle, if that was okay, and if you'd like to go through some questions, and then we can see where we go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got quite a few questions in the chat already. So I don't know, do you want me to read them out, Donna, or do you want to have a read? And
yeah, that would be great if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So I'm just looking here. So somebody has asked if charities are eligible to enter these types of awards.
Yeah, charities are eligible for most types of awards. Obviously there are awards in the specific charity sector. So if you think back to kind of getting yourself in the right race and thinking about the goals, so what are the goals for the charity? Why would you want to win awards? What are you going to be looking at winning awards for? And how are these awards going to help you to achieve those goals? And then think about, well, am I going to be better off in a charity sector award competing against other charities? Or am I going to be better in more of a business award, demonstrating that my charity model is successful commercially? Because at the end of the day, charities are businesses too. And yes, they may not be for profit, but they still have to have a model that works really well and robustly, if not more so. You get analysed, if not more so. Or is it something, about an individual that you want to recognise? So I think thinking about, what the recognition is for, and then why you want to get the recognition, what it's going to help you achieve. But yeah, never think that charities aren't included. If you're ever unsure because the wording may be a bit vague or something on one of the awards websites, just give them a call and ask them. And look at previous winners as well, because you get a good indication from previous winners of who's doing what and who kind of gets recognised in what.
The next question is from Jenny. She's asking, I'm wondering about how to position service-based businesses as opposed to product-based businesses for national awards.
As opposed to?
Product-based. So the positioning of service-based versus product-based businesses for national awards.
So services and products are interesting with awards, because I always think, I'm a service business at the end of the day, and I always think it's always easier to write, I think, an entry in some respects for a product, because it's there and it's hard and fast and it's tangible and it's easy to understand. But you almost sort of have to lay that to rest and forget about it and think about your service as it's about impact. So in the same way as that product would need to demonstrate the impact it's having in the world, in some ways it may be a greater challenge to demonstrate the impact of a new device of something. But if it's actually your service and your service is having an impact, then who's it having an impact on? How's it having an impact? How are you delivering that impact? Is there something unique about what you're doing to provide the impact? So I once helped a business to win, it shocked me actually. I once helped a business to win a Queen's Award based on a methodology that they had created that was based on an acronym. And they were absolutely determined that this acronym that they'd created, that their entire business was built around this particular methodology. And if it wasn't for that methodology, they couldn't operate in the way that they did. And we won. It was brilliant. But, you know, it was great proof back to me. We had to really make some strong arguments for why that was, you know, exclusive to them. But it was unique to them. So anything that you're doing from a process perspective, from a delivery perspective, and from an impact and connection perspective with your clients or customers, then think about that and think about how you can present that as your service.
Cool. Okay, we've got a question from Safia. She's saying, I'm a doctor and I run stress management and resilience training courses linked with Harvard. Would there be any awards that would be applicable for me?
There would be lots of awards that would be applicable for you. It would be, again, based on looking at, well, the business model. So are you wanting to get recognition for your actual business? In which case, we're looking at the nuts and the bolts of your business. So have you grown? Have you got more clients? Have you got any very standout clients that you can talk about? Have you got a good case study that you can bring to life and demonstrate what you've achieved with? Have you got good customer testimonials? Have you, how do you deliver that? So is it in person? Is it online? Is it anything unique about your process? Some people will just have a few clients or a few, you know, you might not work with hundreds. Others will have hundreds. If you've got hundreds, then we want to look at quantification of that. So surveys in numbers. But I would say, well, look, even if you've got 10 clients, if you email them all and you say to them, you know, could you rate us, you know, between 1 and 10 on a scale of how satisfied you have been, and, you know, a couple of other questions, and they all come back and answer you and they've all been, you know, highly satisfied, and you score 9s across the board, then you've got a 9 out of 10, you know, or a 90% customer satisfaction score. You know, it's the same, it's all relative. So just think about how you can measure the impact of what you're doing, but particularly when it's a service business and you're working with individuals, then often it's a case study based approach. So it's actually about the impact you've had on them and how you've changed their world.
Brilliant. And actually that leads quite nicely into the next question, which is from Janet. And she was saying it was a really great example, the Close Brothers ones that you shared. But she's saying that often the space to tell stories or share testimonials in awards entries is very limited. How do you work around that?
Okay. So two things on that, really. One is, yeah, I completely agree. Writing something short is much harder than writing something long, as everyone knows. That's partly about your skill and technique and how you're writing it, and understanding what's necessary versus what isn't necessary. That's a whole training course I do. But what you can do is you can look at including a supporting document with things like testimonials in. However, I'm going to just put one thing out there that no one likes to hear, but is the actual truth. Judges don't like looking at supporting documents. So when we're judging, so the best thing you can do, if you take nothing else away from this today, take this. When you're writing your award entry, imagine you're the judge, okay? And imagine you're the judge and you've got 50 award entries to judge, and you've got about an hour in your day to squeeze it in, because nobody who judges award entries is doing it as a profession. They're doing it as part of a million other things that they're doing, okay? The reality is, I can pick out a winning entry within about 2 lines of reading an award entry. About 3/4 of the award entries that I would read would be dismissed by the end of the first paragraph. Because if you can't tell your story in a high impact way that's going to come across and capture that judge at the outset, they're unlikely to go into the finer detail of that story. So it's really important to understand what you're putting across in the first place and how you're putting it across, because you should be able to tell a high impact story within 200 words if you have to about your business. You might have 2,000 words, in which case you're really lucky. But if you feel like, well, I've really done that to the best of my ability, I've got a really strong story, but I do need a bit more space, then by all means, put some testimonials in a supporting document, but make sure that you put in your award entry where, you know, the judge needs to read the supporting document. Never assume that a judge is judging your entry online, because lots of people do that and they put links in. I know a lot of judges who don't judge online. They print out all the entries that they want to judge. So they're not going to be clicking through on your links to look at your nice videos or what else. Some judges will, but you can't ever make assumptions about what a judge is doing or how they're judging it. So my golden rule is, If it matters, it's in the entry and it's at the beginning and I know about it straight away. And if you stick it in a marketing document and add that on and expect me to go looking for it, it's probably not going to happen. Okay, so you have to be a bit like harsh with yourself and say, right, I'm going to be a judge now. I'm going to think I've got not very much time and a lot of entries to read through. Have I got that most important information in there? There is always room for it, but it's how you're putting it across.
Thank you. David's asking, if there are no award ceremonies for up to a year, are businesses going to be more likely to avoid awards for a while?
There isn't no award ceremonies for up to a year, so I'm not sure where that's come from. Award ceremony,
physical award ceremony.
You mean physical?
Maybe.
Well, most of the thing with the award season, the awards is generally that there's a bit of a season. So entry processes tend to be spring, summer, and award ceremonies tend to be autumn, winter. So a lot of award ceremonies were already going to be the end of the year or beginning of next year anyway. Those awards, if they don't happen, will be going online. So just as you will have already seen, there's been other awards out there that have already done it. In fact, I'm judging an award at the end of this month. That's the first time I will have judged it. The complete thing will be online, the ceremony and everything. So it doesn't make, I don't know why people would avoid, you'd only avoid entering the awards if you felt that the only value in that award was attending the ceremony, I think. But actually the value in winning an award is in the winning of the award and is then putting that out in your marketing and everything else. The ceremony is great, and don't get me wrong, we love a red carpet do and all of that, but that can be done in other ways, and celebrations can happen in other ways, and motivating your team with a celebration could be done in, in a different way instead. So no, I don't think that's putting people off of entering. In fact, I'd actually say the feedback's the opposite, because quite a few people that I've spoken to and on calls like this have said, oh, that's good, we don't have to worry about paying to go to a ceremony. So they can enter the award without kind of worrying about, oh, do we have to get a seat at the ceremony? Do we have to take a whole table? Oh, I can't go on that date, and all of that. So actually, it's kind of less commitment from your end, but you still get the award. So I don't think it should put anyone off.
There's a question that's come up a few times here, and it's about if there is any central kind of resource or site that lists awards in one place, so that you can go and see which ones would be suitable for you.
Yeah, this is interesting, actually. So this is going to be one of my future innovations when I get some time. The problem with awards lists, and you will find, we've got some on our website, you're more than welcome to have a look at, and we blog about various different awards. Unless you have a good understanding of what each award includes and why you'd be entering it, a list is pretty worthless to you. Having a central, the reason we haven't done it yet, because I will one day do that, but is awards open and close every year. Some reopen, some don't reopen. They change their criteria every single year. They change what they're looking for every single year. So a list that you look at, unless it's been absolutely kept up to date to the minute, is likely not in date. So just be slightly wary of it. But no, at the moment, if you just want to go looking for a list, then it's on Google. You can look on websites like ours. But the better thing to do is to learn how to create your own award strategy and know exactly which awards to go for in the first place, because that's going to empower you much more. And it's quality over quantity. There is no point getting some list and then entering 10 awards that probably are only half relevant to you. You're much better off understanding how to build a strategy for yourself and picking 2 really good awards that are going to bring you back some value and not wasting your time.
Brilliant. Okay, there are just a couple more that I think we should be able to squeeze in. We've got 5 minutes left. Anne has asked, my business works with national and international organizations. Do we undermine ourselves by entering local awards?
Okay. Good question, and depends on whether you also enter national and international awards. So my first answer to that would be you should be entering national and international awards from a customer perspective, because they're probably not interested, your customers are probably not interested in your local awards. However, I work with some huge firms, global firms, and they specifically do local regional awards in some regions for recruitment purposes, because they may have offices in that region and they want to attract talent there. So it depends on this goes back to your business goals. Why are you entering the awards in the first place? If you're a company that has local business and local footfall, then local awards will do really well for you. If you want to recruit locally, they'll do really well for you. But if none of that applies to you, and it's actually customer facing that you want your awards to be, to attract or to help you to pitch to new customers, to show that you know what you're doing, to raise your profile generally as whatever business it is that you are, then you should be pitching up higher to national and international awards. And one little thing I'll say, we haven't got time to go into it, but for international awards, you're not necessarily judged internationally. You'd be surprised how you're judged internationally. You actually could be in such a small quota of competitors that you've got as much chance as you would have in your local competition. So don't be put off there.
And then the last question is, I have a business that's just over a year old, so it's difficult to measure growth yet. Is this too early to apply?
No, it's not. A minimum of a year is what I would say you need results wise. There are lots of awards that have a category specifically for businesses under 2 years old. So put yourself in the right race. Okay, always think of that. Am I in the right race? Am I going up against competitors that are I'm not going to be able to compete against, or am I going up against something similar? So yeah, it depends what you're doing and your industry and everything. But I mean, the National Business Awards has a category for I think it's under 18 months, or it was under 18 months. I can't remember now off the top of my head if it's changed this year. But yeah, so no, go for it. If you've got a year's results, then you've got something to say.
And then there's one last one, and I think this is, I mean, it's something that probably affects many of us. How Laura says, it's definitely helped me winning an NPW award this year. People took me seriously, but I struggle with nominating myself because of imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
Clients, many of them suffer from that. How do you navigate imposter syndrome?
Female ones, yeah. The men, not so much. Interesting fact for you from an agency perspective. I think I told you this, Michelle, the other day, that I think it's like an 80-20 ratio of men to women who would put themselves forward for awards. Now, I don't believe for a second that 80% of men are more worthy of awards than women. So it is, I know it's a real challenge. And I have to hold my hand up. I haven't put myself forward for any awards either. I totally know what that's all about, but we have a bit of a conflict with that, so we can't really. But I have received awards that have been nominated on me, and that's been amazing. So don't be put off. You can absolutely do it. And yeah, do you know what? Someone once said to me, the biggest thing getting in your way is you. So get out of your own way and just do it. Just have a go. No one else even needs to know, do they? Don't tell anyone else. Just do it. Put yourself forward, and just embrace it, because you could get so much out. Even getting on a shortlist, you could help you conquer that imposter syndrome.
Brilliant. Thank you. Well, I think that brings us perfectly to the end, and we managed to get through all the questions. Brilliant. I think on behalf of someone saying
yeehaw, Laura.
Thank you. Yeah. But yeah, on behalf of everyone, a massive thank you so much, Donna. That was really inspiring, and I think to hear some good news about things we can be actioning and doing now for the rest of 2020 is really good, and that there are awards of all shapes and sizes for businesses of all shapes, which is really good. So it's definitely something I'm going to be adding to our goals list. And if there is anyone that wants to ask Donna any further questions, in the follow-up email that I send out today, I'll be including some information about a new accelerator program that Donna's running that's online, which I'm going on in the beginning of June, which is really exciting. But also she'll be in copy on the email. So if you've got any questions, or if there's something that occurs to you afterwards that you didn't get a chance to ask, please do feel free to reach out. And I'll include the link to the recording as well, so you have that if you need to refer back to anything. If you enjoyed the session today, please post on LinkedIn about it and tag us both. We'd be really, really thrilled if you could do that. Any feedback, as you know, is great, especially in the current environment. We all need to hear positive news and to be spreading the love. So, and that means that we can kind of keep doing these. So thank you very much, everyone. Donna, thank you for joining. I know how busy you are, so I really appreciate your time.
No worries. My pleasure, my pleasure. And just to say quickly, Do link up with me on LinkedIn, because I'm rubbish on all the other social media stuff, but I do keep up with that one. And I'll put my other talks and bits and pieces up there. So yeah, do link up with me and share would be brilliant. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. Thank you very much for spending your Monday morning with us.
Lovely. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.